Hello there, it's Jay here from Jay's Vintage Junk, and you probably guessed it's Sunday, so I went car booting this morning. Well, took a trip over to Smithfield Market about, I usually get there about, like I said, afternoonish, about 12 o'clock-ish. I have time to go at the end and pick up the dregs. So picked a couple of items up today, and I only picked a couple of items up actually today. But I went to see my mate Andy a couple of days ago, and he gave me a couple of bits that actually one bit that he's keep mentioning for ages and something else. So what I thought I'd do in this video is we'll go through the bits I picked up at Smithfield this morning, and then it would be a bit of a short video, so to make it a bit longer we'll have a look at those bits I picked up from Andy as well, so we'll combine the video. So what I'll do, I'll reset the camera and we can have a look at the items that I picked up from Smithfield Market first, and then like I said, after we've done that we'll have a quick look at those bits I picked up from Andy. So I'll be back in a sec. Right, okay, there we go. Got you set up on the bench now. Just put my glasses on. Right, the first thing, this is actually something I've been looking for one of these for ages and ages and ages. I keep seeing them come up on eBay and people want silly daft money for them for what they are. And that, oh, and this is brand new in the box, albeit a slightly knackered, soggy box. But what we've got here, now these were everywhere about 20 years ago, but you just don't see them anymore. Oh. One of these little TVs. Now the reason I wanted one of these was, one thing, they just make quite a useful little monitor, to be honest. If you just want a little black and white, 7-inch display monitor. They're quite a nice size. They do for all kinds of, like I said, display type things. I don't want to keep it as it is. What my idea is just to use the CRT and driver board in a project. I've got a few projects in mind. I was actually initially, when I first started building my recased little ZX81 project, I was looking for something like this to use for the display on it, but I ended up going with a bigger LCD panel, mainly because I just couldn't find one of these. And they, like I said, brand new and boxed. It's got its power supply there. It's got a 12-volt car adapter. It's unfortunately a very, very soggy box. It's even got the instruction manual. Get that box out of the way. Well, the thing is, it's like buses. You wait for one for ages, and then two of them turn up at once. The guy had two of them on his stall. So I bought them both. Again, we've got the power adapter and the 12-volt adapter with it. Now, this one's actually a little bit drier. The other one is really, the box is really wet and soggy. But there we go. We've got two of those. And I think that's it. Yeah, we've not got anything else. Oh. We've got a free, is that USB-C? Yeah, it is. We've got a free USB-C cable with it as well. That was in the box. But yeah, like I said, these are something you used to see at every car boot sale. Every market used to sell these. I remember when analog TV was finally going off. These were on market stalls, brand new for £5. But I've not seen any in ages, and if you look for them on eBay, they want silly daft money for them. So let's see if they work, actually. Put that away. Now, actually, I might just, that one is like quite wet. I wonder if it's got inside or not. Let's have a look. Because if it has, I'll probably let this one dry out before I don't think it's actually got inside it. great things with these, some of them actually have an AV input on them. I'm not sure whether these ones do. But they're easy enough to mod to add an AV input on them, and that's really what they're of any use for nowadays. Like I said, I just want them as little display monitors for projects. We've got an FM radio built into them, and AM and an FM radio, and they cover all the various analog bands. So let's plug them in and power them up and see if we've got any life. I think I can get that. No, I'm going to have to unplug something so I can actually get that into the power strip. I don't think I need my anti-static while I'm messing with these, so it won't matter. Unplug that. Plug that in instead. Let's try the white one first. Let's see what that's set to. Right, it's set to external power. Let's plug it in. Let's see if we get any. There we go. So obviously we're not going to pick anything up because there's nothing broadcast on analog TV anymore, but that seems to work alright. If the radio works, should do. Yep. So that one works. Let's have a go at this one. This one, like I said, is a bit damp, but I don't think it's actually got inside it. Again, let's make sure that's set to external power. Plug in. See if the radio comes on. Radio comes on. Yeah. Let's see if we've got anything on. Well, sorry about that, folks. My battery went yet again. I've just swapped over onto my spare battery. Anyway, I think you might have seen that working. Let's have a quick look and switch that back on. And this one is again exactly the same. A nice bright CRT in it. It is tuning through the bands. Like I said, there's just nothing we can actually pick up on any of them bands anymore in the UK. But I mean, that's not what I bought these for. Like I said, I bought them for really the CRT and everything. And I know you can modify them, like I said, to get a AV input onto them, and that's really what I want them for. So quite pleased with those. Like I said, I've been looking at them and they seem to just want silly money for anything like this on eBay now. The guy wanted £5 each for them. There's no way I was paying £5 each for them. A bit of back and forwards, and I got them for £3.50 each, so it was £7 for the two, which I thought was very, very, very good. Like I said, I was more than happy to pay that for them, because they are new. We've got nice bright CRTs in them. We know that they've not got really any hours on them at all. They're just something that's been, you know, probably stuck in a garage for 20 years and then stuck on the car boot sale. So first purchase, like I say, I'm super, super happy with that. In fact, I just realised I've left the other thing in the other room, so if you just bear with me for a second, I will go and get it, and we'll be right back. Right, okay, as you can see, I've got the bench cleared back off, and let's get on to the this is the final item I picked up from Smithfield today, and it is, ooh, another tape recorder. Now, if you watched my previous video, you saw that Grundig that I picked up, which has got multiple issues. Now, I wasn't going to do anything with that player. I'm not massively into tape recorders, but I find there's useful parts in them. Anyway, Steve from over at Steve's Vintage Electronics Long Stay Workshop thought that he could do something with it. So I've passed that machine back on to Steve, and Steve's going to see if he can get that thing back up into working order. Now, when I was round today, this was actually off exactly the same fella that I bought that one off. I did actually have a chat with him and say, you sold me that as fully working, and it wasn't. It's got multiple faults. And give the guy his credit, he did say, if you bring it back to me, I'll give you your money back. So I paid a tenner for it. Steve's given me the tenner that I paid for it, so it's wiped its nose with me. If Steve can do something with it, that's great. And obviously the guy got his tenner. But I thought this was 10 quid as well. I think the guy's already pretty worked out that I'll only pay £10 for stuff like this, so he said, you know, tenner the same. What we've got here, this is a Defiant. Now it's got a BSR deck, which is a very standard deck that some of these players had. Grundig and people like that tended to make their own decks. If it's badge, you know, Defiant or something like that, Fidelity or anything like that, it's most likely going to have a BSR deck in it. I haven't got a clue of the condition of this, and to be fair, the guide said don't know whether it works. That's the little bit that goes on the back that takes over the power lead. We'll spin it round, and unlike the Grundig, this has actually had its lead pretty much chopped off. We have got enough there that we can make a connection. So I'm not going to go into this really that much today. That's not what I really do these videos for. But we will see if it will power up. I've still got the tapes actually kicking about here that I was messing with the Grundig, so we can, you know, we can lace the tape up in it and see if it's going to do anything. Now, so these BSR mechanisms aren't particularly bad, but they're very much like BSR record player mechanisms, as in they suffer from stiffened and hardened grease. So even if the machine works, it's probably not going to work absolutely properly, but we can see if we can get any life out of it. The first thing we're going to have to do is expose us some wires so we can connect it up. I've got the safe block here and the quick test, so we'll strip off the end of the wire here, enough that we can actually make a connection, and we'll power it up and see if this thing's going to actually do anything. Obviously doesn't pull a lot of current because that's like 0.5 cable. It's very, very thin cable. We'll strip some of that off. Like that. Twist them up. There we go. So we've got something we can actually connect it up to. Let's plug the safe block in. So our black goes to our blue, that's our neutral. Our green goes to our green, which is our earth. And then our red goes to our brown, which is our live. So there we go, that's connected to the safe block. Let's spin it round. Well, sorry about that, folks. I'm certainly having camera issues. It seemed to my card stopped working in the camera. Hopefully I can recover what I've just done, but if not, let's have a quick recap. So Again, pick this up at the car boot sale. All we've done is connect it up to the quick block, the quick test there. Let's see if this thing's actually going to do anything, or we've got another one that's got multiple faults like the Grundig that I picked up. So we'll power it up. We will switch on. I can hear the motor going straight away. We'll see if we get any hum from it. I can't see anything coming up on the oh, it's just record level on this, so I don't expect to see anything on the EM84 there. I've got a bit of a, at least the amplifier appears to be working in this one, because we get a little bit of a crackle there. Now, unfortunately, I've still got them tapes lying about from when I was playing with the Grundig, so we can at least see if this thing's going to do anything, where we may be able to get it to perhaps play. We'll stick. Let's see if we've got any movement from the mechanism. Yeah. So the mechanism seems like it's going to work. It will be very, very gummed up because all these BSRs are before they're serviced. Let's grab a tape and see if there's any chance that this is going to play. Now, this might not play at the right speed for the simple fact that I don't know what this has been recorded at, this tape that I'm putting on. But if we get any audio out of it, well, at least we know that the machine's basically working, and then we can perhaps take it a bit further in an upcoming video. Let's stick that on there. I need to stick a new leader on this tape, but it should do well enough for just doing a quick test. Now, obviously, I don't know what audio is on this. It could be classical music, it could be speech, it could be pretty much anything, to be honest. The motor in this is very noisy, but that won't matter for a quick test anyway. Right, let's see if this thing's going to do anything. Very quiet, but that is actually playing. So that does actually function. We've got, that is everything absolutely maxed out on it. But I said it is actually playing. So we can get that tape to rewind. That's fast forwarding. So yeah, no, the mechanism's stuck because when I set it to rewind, it's actually carrying on trying to fast forward. That should actually be fast forward there. So obviously the mechanism is a bit gummed up. Let's see if we can get the tape off. I'll have to manually switch that off, and then we'll have to manually get the tape off it. But in fact, I'll leave it on for now because it's not going to matter. I can get it off at a later date. So that's quite good. It's certainly better than the Grundig, and in fact, I actually prefer players like this slightly more. So we will delve into this one a bit further, and we'll perhaps actually see if we can get this properly working. If not, like I said, it's a great source of parts. There's actually better parts in this than in the Grundig. So we'll disconnect that from power, because it was just a really super quick test. You wouldn't want to try and run something in this condition for a prolonged period of time. We don't know the state of the capacitors in it or anything else. So let's see if we can get that little panel to go back on, because it is fairly complete, and to be honest, it's not in bad condition. It's not really beaten up. It's actually in quite nice condition really. It'll need a new power cable because that's obviously been cut off. That's locking in place, so it's all there. Even the speaker grills are in reasonable condition. We've got a speaker grill on one side and then a vent on the other side, but no, it's not in too bad a condition. A bit of rust on the catches and stuff, but that's, you know, to be expected. This has probably been stored in a shed or a garage or something for quite a long time. Most of the things like this that I pick up, you know, that's generally where they've been for many years. When they went out of use, they got stuck in the shed or stuck in the garage, and then when the poor old chap that owned them passes on, they usually end up going to some house clearance place, and that's usually how this stuff ends up at the car boot sales. The house clearance guys, most of them. We'll shut that up, and that will be a future video. Right, now let's move on. So that's basically all the stuff that I picked up from Smithfield today. So let's move on to the stuff that my mate Andy threw my way. And the first thing, this is actually something I used to use, not this particular one, but this is something that I actually used to do as part of my job. Ooh. And what we've got here, if I open it up, is a portable appliance tester, or a pat tester. I used to be the pat tester for the company that I used to work for. So one of my jobs was to pat test all the equipment that we used to have out on hire, or we used to be using out on site ourselves. I also used to have to pat test just about everything in the office, in my workshop, in the warehouse, you name it. It was Muggins here that had to do it, because I was the only one in the company with the actual qualifications to do it. I was the only person actually with a pat test certificate. This is a Seaward, which is actually the same brand as the tester that I used to use at work. This is not quite as fancy or advanced as the one that I used to use, but it's a damn sight newer than the pat tester that I actually currently own. I'm just not sure if that's a... Ah, yes it is, it's up there. I'll just grab my pat tester that I currently use, which is a lot older. Now this is my current one, which is a Robin, and this is probably from the 1980s. And it's a lot, you know, it's a much more old school kind of machine. I don't pat test anymore commercially, to be honest. It's a long time since I actually did my qualifications. They probably need updated now if I was actually to do it commercially. But what I like to keep a pat tester for is any equipment that, you know, I have in from someone else for repair, or perhaps something I want to sell. I just like to run them through a pat tester, just for peace of mind, just to see, make sure there's nothing that I've missed insulation resistance wise or anything like that. Now Andy did say this doesn't work, it's faulty, which is just how I like them. In fact, it's the only way I can get hold of stuff like these, because these are pretty expensive. What I thought we'll do, actually, we'll power it up and see if it actually does anything. It is very nice and complete. Then we have all the leads with it. These are our test probes. There's our mains power. Now I'm not sure whether when Andy said it doesn't work, it's just, you know, coming up with errors, or whether it's completely dead or what. So let's have a quick quick squiz, and like I said, we'll see if we can get it to power up and perhaps do something. Unplug that, and we will plug him in, and like I said, we will see if there's any signs of life. Well, there's signs of life, but it should not be doing that. It's like it's flatlined, hasn't it? So, right, that's obviously our fault. We've got no response from it whatsoever. Excellent. So it looks like we've got another item to repair. But obviously the power supply in it is functioning, or else it wouldn't come on at all. It's a case of, is it repairable or isn't it repairable? So one thing is, these are computer, there is a microprocessor in this one, as where my old one is completely 100% analog. This actually does have data logging facilities, as in you can connect it to a computer. In that way it's very similar to the one that I used at work. It will store the actual pat test records inside the machine. You can then plug a serial cable into it on the front here. Let's get back in there. It actually has a RS-232 connection there, and you can download the everything you've saved into this. I'm not sure how many actual pat tests this can actually save inside it, but you basically store them in the machine, and then you can plug it into a laptop or a computer with a serial cable and download all the data, and then load it in a database for use. So that is if I can get it working, this is really nice. It's like I say, it's a lot more advanced and a lot better than the machine I currently have. So yeah, that's a great thing to get from Andy. We'll just hopefully see if we can get it working again. Right. So I'll get that out of the way, and I will show you the last item I've got to show. So this is also something that come from Andy. And it's something that he mentioned to me actually quite some time ago, but I've keep forgetting about it. Every time I've been round to his house, I've actually forgotten about it, and I haven't picked it up. And then the other day he reminded me. I thought, right, when I'm over there, I will pick it up so I can go and have a play with it. And that is, ooh, where is it now? Again, this is heavy. What we have got here, we've got another oscilloscope. Now this is a Telequipment oscilloscope, and it probably dates, let me see if I can get it up a little bit so you can see it a bit better. This probably dates to the 1970s. But what's a little bit different about this one, this is an early storage scope, as in it can actually store a waveform in it that you can then review back. All the other scopes that I have are just basic scopes. The only thing that's a bit of a shame about this, apart from the fact it's faulty, is that it's only 10 megahertz, which does kind of limit, its usefulness. It is still a useful scope. It's unlikely that the storage functions still work on it. I do know from past experience that early storage scopes, the technology they actually used to store the waveform degrades over time, and although the scope will probably still work, like I say, it's unlikely that the storage facility on it still does, but it's still an interesting piece of equipment. It would be nice to actually get it in full working order, for the simple fact, it's just a good basic scope that if someone needs a basic scope to learn on or to play with, this would actually be ideal. Now, what Andy told me the fault with it is that it will power up, but then you lose, after, you know, it's been on for a little bit, you actually lose the trace on the screen. So unfortunately it could be like the line output transformer or something like that, which is failing in it and breaking down and it's losing voltage that way, or it could be something, you know, a lot more simple. But we'll plug it in. I've got a scope probe out and we'll just have a quick look and see if it's actually going to play ball with us and do anything. Now, one good thing is I think I can get service manuals for this, so a repair might not be impossible, providing it isn't, you know, something like a line output transformer, which I would be very lucky to be able to get a replacement for. Well, let's switch on. There we go. Let's see if we actually get any trace up on the screen. Oh, there we go. And there we go, because it's a dual channel scope, so we've got two. It's slowly coming down the screen there. Let's see. That's input 1 up there. Where's input 2? That's that one there. Right. Let's plug a probe into input 1 and let us see if we've actually got what's that one? Something that needs focusing, obviously, and it obviously has some issues, as you can see. That's jumping all about. It's probably just a bad pot or something. That. Let's hit calibration. Ah, there we go. So it is basically working. Oops. And actually the CRT is fairly bright on it. See if we can connect the ground up. Get a better. Doesn't make a lot of difference. Let's see if the other channel works. In fact, should that be on DC? Or doesn't it make much of a difference? I don't think it makes a huge amount of difference. Bring that. There we go. Let's try input 2. It is going to need a bit of work on this to get it. Let's bring the volts per division down a bit. Let's bring that up. Yeah. So both channels are actually functioning to some degree. So I very much doubt that it's going to be able to take a store. Let's have a look. Store. It's doing something, but I'm not 100% sure. Let's try a single shot. I don't know if that's it just collapsing the voltage there or not. What, I'm not 100% sure. Like I said, I'm going to have to dig the manual out for this. But it does seem to be actually a few of the controls are a bit. That's actually just stuck in then. A few of the controls are obviously a bit on the dodgy side. In fact, have we just lost the... I think we've actually just lost the trace now. Oh no. No, it's still there. It's still working for the most extent. And that does appear to be working for the most part. It probably does need capacitors for the simple fact, you know, it's well over 40 years old. I think this is probably from the early 70s. I mean, I'm from the late 70s and I'm already feeling my age. But yeah, it is actually basically seems to be functioning a lot more than I was actually expecting it to. So you may see this again in an upcoming video if we can actually get it into a decent functioning state, because it, not for me, because I do have probably more oscilloscopes of like the 10-20 megahertz range than I will ever use. But it would be a nice scope, like I said, for someone that's just getting into the hobby and just wants something basic to play about with. Or if, you know, they mess with old computers but they only mess with, you know, early 8-bit stuff, you know, speckies and stuff like that. Something like this is absolutely fine. If you mess about with old vintage TVs and stuff, you could probably get away with a scope like this. So that's, you know, it's a nice thing to get for free to play with. So yeah, I'm quite pleased with that. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there for now. Like I said, this wasn't going to be like a repair video or anything like that. This was literally just, let's have a look at the bits that I picked up from the car boot this morning, and the bits that my mate Andy has given me. So you'll definitely be seeing most of this stuff in the future on the channel, unless someone makes me an offer on it for as is. But yeah, we've got the two TVs, which obviously I've got plans for those, or at least plans for one of those that we're going to play with. First thing we'll have to do is have a look at modding them so we can put an AV input on them. I have done that with them type of things in the past and it's not too hard to do. So they will be coming back up for something like that. We'll have to have a look at that Defiant reel-to-reel and see if we can perhaps get that into a bit of a better working order. We've obviously got the PAT tester, which is going to need some investigation, see if that is actually possible to get it working properly again. And then we've got the scope to play with. So like I said, I will leave it there for now. I hope you enjoyed this little video. So I will say thanks for watching and goodbye.